The main challenges for me were being strong enough to finally tap and listen to my own voice inside. And that's all. That was my biggest challenge, because for so long, when you're constantly told, you can't do that, you're never going to level up, you're never going to amount to anything.
Really?
At a young age, you're never going to believe in yourself.
Welcome to DeeTalks with Dina and Friends. I'm your host, Dina Theodora, singer, songwriter, and actor. My aim for this podcast is to empower, motivate, and inspire you.
She took one tiny spark that ignited her energy and passion into more than 10 projects in under 4 years. I want to welcome the amazing, the wonderful Miss Retchie. So I want you to I know I introduced you somewhat.
Yes.
Somewhat. I gave the intro, but if you can introduce to the audience and viewers a little bit more about yourself and where you grew up, and also just from your baking to your coaching to your event planning and how you started all that.
Sure. So I guess starting kind of from the beginning, I'm definitely a mom of two. My oldest is Kyle and my youngest is Cassidy of 5.
Wow.
So first of all, my number one thing I'm most proud of is definitely being a mommy. I came here in Canada when I was 9. I was actually born in Zambia, Africa. So did not grow up with privilege. My parents worked their butts off to get us here. And, since then, I've just been really trying to break through a lot of the different barriers that I've had being a girl, a female, a Filipina, a woman. And I didn't really have any guidance growing up. So I would have to say, plowing through life, over the past 40 years. So in a nutshell, I had a path. My parents were like, you're going to do this and only this. And I was kept in a little box growing up. They wanted me to stay in this box and I had to follow it. So I did that for 20 odd years, went to university, then got I followed all the steps, got a full-time job, had kids and all that stuff. And I realized 5 years ago when I was baking for my daughter, I feel like 5 years ago was when I really grew up, because I connected to my creativity, which is something that my parents really suppressed for so many years.
Really? So you were in a way, it happens to so many, women and men too, but that they get comfortable in doing, what the family wants and traditions and all caught up with family and kids, but you had things brewing from within.
Correct.
And so what was that just ignited it for you?
Well, I tried everything, dancing, singing, everything, drawing, painting, but nothing got me until I started to bake cookies and desserts for my own kids.
Oh my God, okay. I hope I'm going to try some of your sweets at some point, because I do have a sweet tooth. But yeah, we'll get to that. So you started baking for your kids and then this just came to you.
Correct.
And
I started my first business called Cheetopia. So I became so obsessed with baking that I just said yes to every gig, and I just figured it out on the spot. You want macarons? Sure, I'll figure it out. You want a wedding cake that's 3 tiers? Sure, I'll figure it out.
Wow.
So I just taught myself on the spot, and it really forced me to be creative, and it forced me to just really bring out my creativity and just execute.
You just found a way, and that passion was that there was a drive, and you just went through with it.
Yeah.
So with that said, baking to coaching to event planning, can you fill me in on some of that? How did that all come together?
I think I've been really fortunate enough that through my 15-year corporate career, I've had many different jobs. So then at the time, when you work jobs, you're like, I don't know why I'm here or whatever, but it gave me the privilege of at least having a multitude of experiences.
Wow.
Even being in boardrooms, pitching ideas to executives. So it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. So corporate life had kind of prepared me for a lot of entrepreneurial things now.
It's like you were it was paving the way because of whatever struggles that you went through.
That's right.
And then you just kind of put your passions, once you're good with the baking, well, of course, the coaching comes in because, you can do one thing, and so it's not that hard to do multiple things, right? So you started the baking from baking for your daughter, and the idea came to you, and then at that point, that was it? You opened up shop?
Well, yeah, so that was the first business. Then the second one, I had a business partner, and we birthed, as you mentioned already, Filipino fusion desserts. And that one was really special to me because it wasn't just baking anymore. It was baking desserts that were connected to my own passion, which is being Filipino, sharing flavors with the world. and incorporating that into the desserts. So then it became me finally connecting to my culture, which I never had beforehand, to be honest.
That is amazing. And I saw some of them, they're colorful.
Yes, they are. They're purple.
What kind of cookies purple? I mean, my hair's pink, but cookies now?
It's called ube, which is a purple yam. It's delicious. It's a purple yam.
And you make that as a cookie?
Yeah, you extract the flavor from the ube and then you incorporate it into a baking.
Oh, girl, I got you getting me my salivating right now. But this is amazing. So you basically right now, like you're currently working, like what are your main projects, so to speak, at this point?
So right now I'm supporting the paper crane. So all printing, marketing, that is one huge monster and beast as it's growing.
Yes.
Then there's Crane Express, which you just talked about, which is we've butted into 4 locations. So it's really supporting the marketing around that, building our brand and awareness to like basically the GTA.
Tell me about Paper Crane.
So the Paper Crane is a marketing company. So basically anything you can print on, whether that's flyers, brochures, t-shirts, anything that can be printed, we can produce. So in-house, from end to end, we design it for you, we produce it for you, and we deliver it.
And everything from tops to bottoms to hats to apparel, anything.
Sport apparel.
Print and wow, awesome. So, and then the branding and marketing that comes with it.
Correct.
Wow. I love that because you know how we're living in a digital age. Everything is, somebody wants to print something. So I love that they could find you at Paper Crane. But we'll get into adding our tags at the end.
Sure.
Some challenges that you faced along the way. I mean, from being a mother of 2, from starting your baking business, just the charities you're involved in, the basketball, which we'll talk about in a bit. How did you face some challenges that you went through and how did you get through them?
I feel like the bulk of my challenges really happened as I was growing up. And mostly because I grew up with everything against me. Nobody believed in me. Nobody gave a crap. If anything, I was rejected constantly.
Were you the only child?
I wasn't. I'm the oldest of 2.
Okay.
So everything that was truly who I was constantly rejected. So the main challenges for me were being strong enough to finally tap and listen to my own voice inside. And that's all. That was my biggest challenge, because for so long, when you're constantly told, you can't do that, you're never going to level up, you're never going to amount to anything.
Really?
At a young age, you're never going to believe in yourself.
Yes.
So for me, my biggest challenge was finally pushing through the lies. I call them lies.
How did you push through that? Because so many women and men too cannot get past these voices.
I call them gremlins.
Gremlins!
I call them gremlins, and they sit everywhere.
Yes! How did you, because you don't know what you don't know. So at that point, you're probably thinking, okay, well, I can't really do much because I'm being told I can't. But then getting past that, what was the breaking point for you?
There was a few things. Being a parent made me realize that my kids are looking at me. And so if I tell my daughter, Cassie, believe in yourself, I can't tell her, believe in yourself, if I don't believe in myself. So being a parent has made me really accountable for truly believing the things I say to them. So being a parent definitely pushed me to really face that, and face some of the darker things in my past.
Yes.
So that was definitely one thing that motivated me.
Beautiful.
But then second to that, I think with any female girl that's going through it, or man, at the end of the day, you're gonna face so much negativity in this world. I think it's more, what it comes down to is when you find the little part of who you are, hold on to it. And when I say hold on to it, amplify that little voice, no matter how small it is, and start to then turn down the volume of everything else. And then soon your voice becomes larger in your heart and in your head.
What do you tell women that are afraid to, let's say, go beyond something that scares the heck out of them? Like, they say, do the thing that scares you because it's going to be the most fulfilling. But really, what if a girl is dependent on a man for emotional or financial or whatever it may be? What do you tell women that are dependent?
The first thing I'll say is I understand why you're dependent. So I acknowledge that we kind of live in a world where a lot of us have chains, really strong ones that are held behind our back. Would you agree? So those chains are bogging us down. But in order for any change to happen, it takes with little baby steps of standing up for yourself. It could be, and when I say standing up for yourself, it could be just standing up in a conversation. Like, stop just saying yes. You know, standing up can just be a simple, I don't even agree. That step for a lot of females is already very hard. Just saying I disagree is very, very hard, for example.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's easy to get overwhelmed, but don't get overwhelmed because you can start really, really small.
I love that because, you know, and it gives empowerment. But speaking on words of empowerment, what would you say is your definition of empowerment? You know, something that you can leave with women being through everything that you've been through to where you are now, with much success. You know, what can you say is something that you would implement through your works that is empowering for other women to know?
There's two really important things. You cannot empower another woman without truly loving and believing in yourself. Because in order for you to help others, you really need to make sure you know what you have in here. Because how can you help someone else and you've helped someone, but then you're sitting and you're looking at yourself and not truly believing that? So before you can empower others, you have to truly believe in yourself and all of it. The flaws, the stuff that you may not like, whatever, your weaknesses, it doesn't matter. Love all of you first. So empowerment to me means loving you first. Then second, embracing everybody's kind of nuances. We're all not perfect, but I think everyone has their place. So empowerment is simply just helping others see their place in this world.
Beautifully said. I love it. So you spoke to me briefly about your past and, you know, being a mother of two. Relationship-wise, we didn't really touch on that, and that's okay if you don't want to mention it, but what would you say is your definition of something that is a healthy relationship?
Well, I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for my husband. So without a healthy relationship with your spouse or your partner, it's very, very difficult to do anything, especially when you have kids. So I would have to say having a relationship that's very strong must be based on trust for sure, communication, and respect. Three things. Those are, I would say, are without them, they're nothing. Like me, I over communicate.
Wow.
because when you're so busy, if I leave him out of the dark, if he misses like one little blip, then everything just kind of comes undone, right?
Yeah.
So communication is really important, and then trust is definitely like a pillar.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. And so, would you recommend any women that are going through any sort of situation in terms of red flags? What would those be?
Well, first of all, if someone doesn't support anything, whether that's like, let's just say you're pursuing something or you just believe in something. If someone doesn't support your ideas, simple ideas, then, and if they're taking you down or they're tearing you down, like in any way, if you don't feel positive just by being you, that's already a red flag. Already a red flag.
You have to be, that support has to be there.
Right, and acceptance.
In terms of back to current works, you are currently involved with what are your main works that you would say in terms of your projects that you are most focused on right now?
Because of the season and where we're at right now, definitely Battle 4 and 6 and Battle Canada. Because we just what do you call it? We installed an NBA size court at the back of our headquarters.
How did this all come about? Tell me about this. It's beautiful.
Well, long story short, we were supposed to implement multiple events across Canada. So we were going to start in Montreal in July, then go to Brampton and Battle 905, and then end in Toronto at Yonge Dundas Square in August 22.
Wow.
But then because of COVID, everything got canceled.
Yes.
And then because we purchased this beautiful court, we're like, well, what are we going to do with this court? So we decided to park it and plant it permanently at the back of our headquarters in North York.
Good idea.
And then that way we're not relying on other event spaces. We made our own event space.
And other circumstances, be that as it may.
Correct.
So this charity it started how long ago?
At 3 years old now.
Wow. And it's through Paper Crane?
Yes, it's powered by Paper Crane. That's correct.
So, and it's to help sick kids.
Correct.
Wow.
So essentially it's a basketball outdoor tournament that really supports the community. So within basketball culture, there's lots of things going on. There's music. Anything that touches basketball in any form, we support and we bring together through different events. But ultimately we fund and donate funds to sick kids. So to date, as you already said, it's $6,300 to date. So I'm really, really proud.
And I was gonna say, what an amazing feat to have to give to
sure.
sick, Sick Children's Hospital. In terms of advice that you would say to give women, getting involved in entrepreneurship, whether it's coaching or whether it's baking or anything that you're involved in, what would be some pointers for them? What would be some advice that you can give?
I think the first thing is business in general is very, very difficult. It's very challenging, whether it's financially challenging, time, it's a big time commitment. So I'd have to say, no matter what you choose, make sure it's something that you really enjoy, that you're passionate about, because that will help you through those really tough, the tough times where you feel like, oh my God, it's like 2 a.m. What am I still doing here? So if you don't love and are passionate about what you're doing in your entrepreneurial venture, then it may not last as long.
Well said. You have to love what you do.
For sure.
And so, like you mentioned, one of your favorite projects is Battle Canada for sick kids. But does that mean that you're still splitting your time between the baking and the coaching and the event planning?
Correct. So
you just do it all.
No, it's true. Like I do. So with Paper Crane and Crane Express, those are the companies that support on a daily basis because those have to continue going. The battle events, those are typically on weekends or.
Got it.
So we can do that. And then from a coaching perspective, I get DM'd constantly. I had a lovely lady I spoke to in Los Angeles who was starting something new. I get DM'd all the time. So what I'll do is as I'm driving home, I'll let someone know that I'm available and I'll take that 30-minute car ride as my coaching opportunity.
You are such a sweetheart. And you know what? Does it give you this satisfaction and this feeling, which I'm going to get to in the end, as to what it does for you when you give back and when you are there for someone? Because it reminds you of the time that maybe somebody wasn't there for you. Is that sort of?
That's exactly what it is.
Wow.
Because I did a lot of the initial, to get to where I am, it just took so much energy and effort. And I remember the dark times and I remember the hardships. And I said to myself many years ago, if I just had someone that I could call, I didn't have that lifeline at all.
Wow.
At all. Zero.
And that is empowering in and of its own, that you're able to it's like paying it forward. Correct. And if everyone was able to do that and just spend 5 or 10 or 20 minutes of their day just to do, it warms my heart to know that's just beautiful. And that's what I intend to do, is to spread these messages and to spread, these ways and forms of giving back, so that it just reminds people that, there's people like you out there still. So in terms of coming to a close, which I hate to do, what would you say are some of the hardest things that in terms of either being a mother or business or whatever it may be, the greatest and hardest things that you've had to experience through all of your success?
So I would have to say that always the hardest thing whenever in anything that I'm doing is just the level of sacrifice. So sacrifice, because I have kids, for someone who's single, who has like an abundant amount of time, is very different from someone like me who's married, committed, has already time commitments with my kids and stuff like that. So the hardest thing in my situation, because of it, is really just balancing, having an insane ability to balance multiple things with the time that I have. So it's really that sacrifice of time.
And time management.
Correct.
How do you time manage?
I live and breathe by my calendar, so everything is scheduled, everything is booked, and I take a lot of notes.
Good for you. I love it. Get the calendars out, girls. So going back to, if there was something that you could change, or maybe nothing, but if there was something from your past, what would it be? Or what would you have wanted to work on from the past that would be something that would help you more?
As much as the life was very, very difficult, challenging, and it was really tough, I wouldn't be who I am today without all of it. So I wouldn't change a thing.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I love that. And now, where can people find you?
So on Instagram, it's easy to find me, Richie.Valdez, so
Yes.
RECHIE.VALDEZ, and then through my profile, you'll see all the different projects and involvements that I'm in.
And absolutely, they can take part in any promotions and events, or if you have anything that is coming up, it'll all be posted there. I'm excited to have you. I'm excited for all of this. And just before I leave, I want to actually leave our audience and our listeners with this. As we all know, we come in this world with nothing, we leave with nothing. But if there was something that you could leave a mark with, if there was something that you could leave an imprint with behind, what would that be?
Well, for me, I personally wake up every morning super grateful for even just being able to wake up and breathe. So every day for me is like a breath of fresh air. And so for me, leaving a mark is just the fact that I'm here and I'm present and I'm just living it and creating.
Taking that in. I love that. I want to thank you so much, Richie, for joining. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for joining in. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment below. Make sure to also find us on Instagram at DeeTalks with Dina and my personal page at Dina Theodora. Stay tuned and catch you next time.